Welcome to the Chill Zone.
Help us celebrate you.
On the Chill Zone.
Welcome to your afternoon favorite show. My name is Danny Constant. And yes, don't forget equally, if you're going to be watching this later, please don't forget you could subscribe. You could actually leave a comment, like our page right there, Chronicles of Constant on YouTube. But like we always do, from 3 to 4, we make sure that we have an entrepreneur or a celebrity or pretty much someone of influence. And I think this lady is someone that has influence. I mean, she has influence. For her to be able to call young people and give them a platform to express themselves, and not just young people, equally men. We know how it is hard to gather men in this country. Women have been able to mobilize each other and work and talk about their issues, but for men, wow, we have a long way to go. Joining us this afternoon right here, Isatou Bokum.
Isatou, welcome on the Chill Zone. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Like Danny said, we've been watching your progress, your success,
from far.
You've been doing an amazing job, and we're glad to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. It's an honor being here.
Girl, I'm going to talk about everything. So just from beginning, I mean, you've studied in Gambia. You grew up here, but originally you're from Nigeria.
Oh no! I'm from the Gambia.
You're from Gambia.
Yes,
I know,
right?
So because I know for most people they always have that misconception. So that's what I'm saying. It's better that we
It
just
has to be clear.
Yeah, it
Yes.
has to be clear. So I see
Because of her
Bokum.
last name.
No. Bokum even is not a Nigerian surname.
It's a Sarahule surname
You
actually.
understand? Look at that. But that's good. So you are not from Sierra Leone. You're not from
Ghana.
From Ghana. You're not, because I mean, so there are 4 countries that they usually get. So are you Liberian? Are you Ghanaian? Are you Nigerian or Sierra Leonean? If you're none of those, they're confused. That's where
from then.
Yeah, that's it. But you're Gambian or you're Sierra Leone, you're Sarahule.
Yes, my dad is Sarahule and my mom is Sierra Leonean, so I'm sort of half, but I'm Gambian.
Oh, that's
So now we get it.
beautiful.
Now it makes sense.
Actually, it's beautiful. But what do you know about your surname Bokum? As in, where are they from?
Bokum, according to what I've been told, it's we're originally Fullers, but when we moved to the Gambia, then they settled, my forefathers settled in a Sarahule settlement. So we got used to their culture, spoke their language, lived with their people. So all of us were raised as Sarahules. But most times when I'm Sarahule, my grandfathers will be like, oh no, you're not Sarahule, you're Fuller. So I just get confused. I'm like, okay, you know what? I am a Sarahule. I was raised a Sarahule, so I'm just a Sarahule.
I get that all the time because I'm Kuli. Everybody assumes I'm Jola. But we are Mandinkas from Kiang. So migration changes the narrative.
A whole lot of things.
True. I know myself here,
Daddy, please.
my story is different, so even when I tell people I'm Siri, they're like Siri to be nice.
You and Zima, you are from the Zima Zulu culture,
I trust me, I'm telling you.
So you need to tell us originally, where is Zima from?
So Zima is from the southern part of Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for most people, so it's widely spread. You have tribes that are in Zima. You have regions that are in Zima. For example, there's a tribe in Ghana that's in Zima. You have a region equally in Ghana that's in Zima region. You have in southern Africa as well. If, like, for example, in Zambia, in Malawi, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, you have that famous Nzima surname as well. So that's equally.
What kind of tribe are they? Like,
so basically, it's diverse. It's just a people that have just moved across Africa, and the surname has. I mean, it's in Cameroon as well. It's in the southern part of what's it called? In the central and southern part of Gabon and Congo and all of that area.
So it's
a very widely spread surname. And people. So I'm telling you, we're diverse like that.
Oh wow.
Very diverse. So
Impressive.
it's not really Sarahuli or something like that. But I'm telling you, but in Gambia I'm Sirir.
So why did you choose Cyril out of all the ethnic groups? Oh, okay. Oh, I
I'm
get
Cyril
it.
because my wife is Cyril.
Cyril, okay,
So, yeah.
I get it.
Trust me. Man. Listen.
You gotta love men when they're in love. When men are in love,
there was a
before
time,
he got married, he was fuller.
I know, now he's
married.
and I'm sure he has been Sarahule, Mandinka, Wolof before
Everything.
marriage.
I was Wolof and Cyril. I was either Jeng or Fai, one of them. I was Jeng, Jai or Fai all the time. But Isatou, you've learned in Gambia. I mean, you've gone to your educational career or your educational journey in Gambia, but what exactly at this particular point? Because I know on social media right now we're looking. It's raining. Schools are meant to be opening, and children cannot go to school because it's either the roof is bad, the irrigation system in the school is zero. They currently no seating or educational space.
Yeah, no amenities.
Nothing is in. But what school did you go to?
I went primary. I went to New Covenant, and middle and high I went to SOS.
What field were you studying?
I did science in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, funnily, I know.
So how is the science? Because we had this argument some time back with the things that were taught in class, and the implementation of those in the real world. They taught us the drawings of an agama lizards. Now I'm thinking and cockroaches and drawing goats and lions and describing their parts. And now I'm looking at my life, I'm like, where exactly am I meant to implement agama lizards and crocodiles?
No, it's funny what we are taught in school. So that's why we're advocating for it not just to be about sitting in classes, but also giving the opportunity to young people for them to learn creative skills and also, lifestyle skills for them to, boost their talents and the like. Not just about sitting in class reading ABC and that's it. Most of us have gone way beyond, what we have been taught.
But what was school like for you? Were you that type of student that was just classroom and that's it, or were you busy with other activities within the school?
Well, the thing was, when I left middle school, I decided to read science, and that's because I wanted to be a surgeon somewhat. So when I was in science class, then you know how science classes are. Everybody is so serious about classes, reading, competition, and the like. Funnily, in my own space, I did very well in school, that's for sure. But in my own space, I was focused more on the artistic part of it, because I started script writing since I was in middle school and writing poems, writing dramas and the like. So I did things like that in middle school and in high school, and I'll call my colleagues together whenever we have events in school for us to, actually practice and be able to act on stage. So those are some of the things I used to do. I used to go out for debate. So I was not that actual practical science student that we all know, that is a bookworm, that is always this and that. When it's time for school, I am there, but when I have time for myself, I also involve a lot in extracurricular activities.
So apart from being an activist, you're also an actress.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Very interesting.
We have a lot of actors and actresses in Gambia who are currently also doing very well in their own personal spaces.
Yeah.
How was the acting journey for you like in Gambia?
Well, I think it's the same story for all of us. It has been really, really tough being in the film industry here in the country, because there are so many challenges that we've faced, and it has to do with the market, it has to do with the productions that we produce, it has to do with a whole lot of things, with the government not supporting the film industry. So those are some of the problems, and along the way, some of us sort of back out and we're like, okay, you know what? Maybe we should just check other avenues where we could also establish ourselves instead of focusing in just one area. So I guess since I did Beyond Greed, I have not actually done anything aside The Void Between, which is supposed to come out soon. Not my film, but I wrote it. And it's just been rough, to be honest. And what has changed my mind was when I went to Ghana this year for a film training, and we were trained by Germans and also some Ghanaians in the film industry about how to do professional films, being it documentary, being it fiction films and the like. And that has actually changed my mind to want to come back into the film industry and come back here and see what I can do for the young people with regards to film.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to give up. We have a lot of potential.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a lot of stories, and you're a writer as well, which is a good age. And I think we all get to that level where we just be like, okay, you know what, I'm done, I'm done. But at the end of the day, this is what we love doing. And if we don't stay, who else is going to be there to make it happen? It's going to be very slow. Just this morning we were talking about, I shared something on the Ibn Jam page and then talking about the struggles that are common with all actors globally.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think it's just Gambia, where we struggle with payment, where we struggle with actors, where we struggle with lack of structures. But you get to realize, even in America, where it is known to be one of the biggest platforms for movie makers or for films, the upcoming actors or producers face the same challenges.
Yeah.
In terms of payments, in terms of collecting their royalties, in terms of, the structures not reaching to them, or them not reaching out or not having access to those structures. So it's a global common problem. The only time you get all this access is when you start making names. Then everybody just starts approaching.
It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it certainly takes
sad.
time.
Yeah, it takes time.
It certainly takes time. You are involved in so much, from advocacy to communication media, to equally, to education.
Yeah.
Well, we equally know you to have the platform Girls Talk Show,
yeah.
and an organization as well. So it's currently the Girls Talk is a TV show, but equally also an organization. But tell us a little background about the Girls Talk.
The Girls Talk is a non-profit and also a TV show, like you said, an online TV show to be specific, that look at issues affecting girls and women in the society. And what we try to do is to bring these issues on the table and discuss and see what we can do for these girls and young women in order for them to reach their full potentials, and also to achieve their dreams and also realize their aims. So we started last year, and that was on the 4th of May. That was when we started. We released our first episode, and everything went gaga. People wanted to see more. We talked about a whole lot of things. And Danny, yes, you were on the panel and things like that. Yes,
I was on one of the episodes.
Exactly. So it was really a beautiful time. And when I sat and talked and thought about it, I was like, okay, we just sit and we talk about these issues, but what is it that I am doing to make sure that I enact that change, to make sure that it's not just us discussing and not everybody actually have access to online, to internet. Yes. So what can I do individually within my own space to make sure that what I discuss and what I do reach out to so many other people who do not have access to watch our shows. And that was why we extended to an organization, and we started having seminars, we started having workshops. We also started mentoring girls and having fitness programs, like we had our girls workout day in January, and things like that, to see how best to reach out to more girls and young women.
Well, recently you did the All Men Summit, which is the first of its kind in Gambia. We never had a men's summit.
Where men sat down and
but this is interesting, having the All Men Summit, and it went very successful. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Tell us what inspired you to come up with it.
Well, I started and I thought about it, and I was like, I keep telling people, whenever I have ideas in my head is when I have a cup of coffee by my side. So yes, like I love coffee, and when I want to think, I love coffee.
Just wakes
when
you
I want to
up.
think, I always take coffee, and that's when everything starts pouring out. So I was like, okay, now we are actually addressing these girls. We talk to them about being empowered. We talk to them about things they need to do to actually reach their aims, things like that. But at the end of the day, when we are done with all these girls and young women, they still go to their houses and they face these men. These men are either their fathers, they're their brothers, their uncles, and the like. So what do we do to make sure that whatever we are doing, it's not in vain, it's not a dead end? So that's why we decided to bring men together, which is an all men summit that is meant from different backgrounds, from diversified platforms, to see how best we can bring them on one stage to discuss these issues that we actually discuss with girls and women, so they also understand, and they're also in the limelight about what we talk about, and see how best they could also implement within themselves and change their concept towards women and girls.
That is great. So Danny, you moderated one of the segments.
Yeah.
I think it's important, and I always mention this. At the end of the day, everything that's been spoken of or spoken on in most of the conferences or the forums that we have around, it's solely for the masses.
Yeah.
And I think it's only fair enough that after all of this, it's important that people get to hear about all this. And I equally think that's why we had you on the show, to mention the fact that it is important that men be equally supportive.
Exactly.
And the mindset of young Gambians, and especially men, are changed as to the approach that's given to what a woman is meant to be like, or what the limitations of a woman could potentially be. But it's equally important that men have conversations with themselves as men regarding women's issue, whether it be it a generational gap that we're currently facing, be it a cultural, be it just work, or relationship advice that men give other men, as to how to treat each other, or how to treat women. It's very important. But talking equally of the gender-based violence, I know this is an issue that the masses will call intellectual. I mean, they probably would just associate it with, you know, hay ñi mom hanga ñu jangaleen hanga ñom doxalin tuba bi den bëgg andi ci dëkk bi daal ñu hanga fi mom dëkk julit la ñun xamu yu nonu tuba bi suñ amé sen doxini ñom yeen ngeen baani ak tuba doxini tuba bi.
And we get that a lot
all the time. I mean, all the time. There's so many issues that we will talk about here on the show. But in terms of sexual abuse, physical violations, and what's it called, cyberbullying as well. And there's a lot that men need to be frank about, and we need as men to talk to each other. Like the men's summit said, we're meant to call each other out. We're meant to challenge each other, engage each other, and pretty much encourage each other to become better. Yeah. Then from there we're able to learn. But I think it was a little one-sided, I would say, because I feel it's important that we engage the people that do not have the chance to equally be sat in a room full of educated people, to allow them to learn what it means to actually treat a woman right. Yeah. Because then from there you're able to pass that on to your child, and to your children's children. Which is fascinating, but I must give you
but it was a good start.
Yeah, so the plan actually is, because this is the first summit, and obviously there's always a test run to make sure that we have done this, and what are we going to do to make it better. So this one was targeted at people here, but next year my plan is not to do it in these areas. I'm planning to go up country to see how best we can have the same, maybe different format, but actually the same aim, to make to have those that do not have the opportunity to be here to also be a part of the summit. So we're definitely going to make it inclusive next year.
Make it more inclusive and more local as well, because sometimes we formalize things too much that we end up not reaching out to the most targeted people. Because when you look at violence, I mean, or sexual related issues, the locals usually are very involved. Our fathers, you know, our uncles, our neighbors. These people might not be educated. They don't understand the English language. So how do we make sure they get this information? You know, how do we make sure that they also get what what we're trying to advocate for? So, like you said, it's a test run. Next time, I mean, I hope you consider all of these things.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, because we have them on the shows here. Sometimes when we start talking about these things, they're the first people to call. Sumadom. It's not that. We're not buying any yon. Like, we are on track, but culture is still culture. We love and respect our culture. But there are certain things within the culture also that needs to be looked at.
No, culture is not stagnant. It changes. That's just the truth. So we just need to understand that I keep telling people whenever I talk to girls, years back, when our people want to travel, for example, they travel on foot. But now we're in an era wherein we have flights, we have cars, we have the like. So things change. It's always a transitional period. So even in our culture, there are times that I Isatou will not wear this. Maybe my forefathers will not dream of wearing this. But today we are wearing this. So culture, we are not saying some important part of our culture should be reserved, but those that are detrimental to the health of our people should not be kept at all.
True.
Well, you can call 1076 or send your text messages on 1076 if you want to be a part of the show. And currently, there are a lot of issues regarding women and youth and children in this country. Which of them is more pertaining to you and that you have great interest to fight against?
Well, first, when the sexual violence thingy was going on, I was not in the country, and I felt so bad that I was not here to actually do what I can. So the best I could do was through the media. But aside that, what I'm seeing right now that is going on, that is really, really devastating, is the fact that men see it as it's fine to insult women, to say anything that they feel is right for them, whilst it's offensive to the woman, and they think it's okay, and all that it takes is for them to say, oh, sorry, and that's it. And I feel as if it's not right, because a woman, when you look at a woman first, the first thing you think about is this person can be your mother, can be your sister, can be just anybody that is feminine in your life. So men should not see it as okay to say anything or to address any insultive words to women and feel as if it's fine. Okay, at the end of the day, I'm just gonna say sorry and that's it. So who is gonna do anything about it? So it's not cool, and I see that going a whole lot nowadays, and I feel as if it's horrible. Especially and it should stop.
Shaming.
Yes, the body shaming.
It's very wrong.
Oh my God, it's crazy. So that is something that I hope to talk about more and see how best women should be respected for who they are, regardless. If a woman has done something you think it's not right, there's always a need for dialogue. Call for dialogue and talk about it. But you don't go on the media ranting, and at the end of the day you come back and say sorry and you think everything is fine. Right. It doesn't work. It certainly
is not fine. I mean, that's equally the story with the South Africans who during the weekend just took on
and
this,
said it's we are sorry.
We are sorry.
Killing people.
Yeah, that certainly cannot work that easy. I mean, people will not just forgive and forget like that. I mean, these are people's lives on the line, and equally these are people's reputation, especially like you mentioned the Gambian men that are just not. That just don't care.
I tell you, if we are to arrest men for verbal harassment and body shaming, we will arrest thousands of them every single day.
This son, today I was walking to the office and a guy behind me was like, son, Sondoma O. I turned and I looked at him some kind of way, and in his mind I know he will be like, okay, like sorry. And I just for me, I don't say anything. I just turn and look at you. You will know what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
It's disrespectful.
It is. It's very uncomfortable. You are on your grind, you're minding your business, and somebody is right there telling you, check busel.
I know.
And when you react, they're like, Manama chahan. Like you don't chahan with those
things like that. Exactly.
And if there's one thing that that one of the panelists mentioned about men, especially in Gambia, is the fact that Gambian men respect their mothers, but they don't respect women.
Exactly.
No,
how does that make any sense?
I don't understand. Like what? I mean, wait. You respect your mother, but you don't respect other women. Like what? Back into the talk that we had in the beginning of the show before you joined us.
So on Twitter, men are getting angry that women are calling them ugly, Gambian men.
Yes.
Really?
So Gambian men are
G was the first to tweet that, reply to that.
No, but I'm
somebody said Gambian men are handsome, and somebody said this is news to me. Myself, I laughed at that tweet. This is so funny. It's news to her.
Oh my God.
So G was like, okay, you are here with your half hairstyle buddies, with your makeups, with your dad, and you're calling us ugly. Gee,
not even that. I feel Gambian men and Gambian women are equal in terms of beauty representation. Of beauty representation.
But that was just a joke. The guy was not serious.
But what I'm saying, in terms of looking at who is nice, Gambian men and Gambian women, we there for the same scale.
No.
Excuse me.
We are not. Leave your own ugliness and leave us alone.
But Gambian women, if we're meant to not allow, if Gambian women were just walking around with no makeup, we will know who is who.
I said the Bible is here. She's seated with no makeup. She looks beautiful.
She looks like me because we are all flawless, natural. But there's some individuals that I know in this country. If there's no makeup, they will not come out.
But I don't know why all of you argue about beauty, though. Like I keep telling people, beauty is not about the face.
So what would you term as ugly now? Because if a woman has the balls, let me put it that way, has the balls to go on internet, because she has free megabytes and she has time to call an entire generation ugly.
I think that's been disrespectful, and that's what's ugly.
Very ugly.
True. Because if it was a man, a Gambian man that went online now,
everybody will attack from different angles. Yeah.
They're like, oh, women.
Yeah, that I agree.
But okay, so let me ask you.
Twitter is a
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Both of you that are advocate as well. Now, how is it okay for women to be on social media or be in real life saying some certain offensive things to men, which I feel if was a case of a man, it would have sparked controversy. There's so many things. For example, even there was a picture of a father that was with his daughter. I think it was Tiana Taylor's husband. I think I'm not sure, but there's been a lot of scenarios of such. But that's one of them. For example, a father with his daughter take a picture without his shirt on, and the internet spoke, just sparked on because like, yes, he's a man, he cannot be with his bare chest holding his baby girl, or probably a father kiss his daughter on the mouth. Now if it was a woman it's okay, but if it's a man it's not. There's so many things that men are not right now allowed to do because of the sensitivity of women, especially on social media, under the pretext of being feminist. What exactly would you say about that? For example, equally this story, this tweet of this woman calling Gambian men ugly.
Well, I always also talk about this thing. I think people take the word feminism the wrong way, because I have talked to a lot of people who they say they are feminists, but they don't know the concept of feminism, and they interpret the whole thing the wrong way. I think to be a feminist is for you to stand for the right thing, for you to see a world that is just and fair for everybody. And feminism is about humanity, and it's not just about equality. It goes way beyond that. As much as feminists, we'll talk about the fact that women should have equal rights and all that. We also advocate to say that if Isatou is going to be given something and Danny wouldn't, it has to be that Isatou actually deserves and have worked to get that, and not because you're trying to make it a favor because I am a woman. It's more disrespectful.
Sympathetic with
exactly. So that's just it. And when we see things like this on the internet, I think the reason why people spark a whole lot of talk on it is because a woman is very sensitive as compared to a man. For example, for mothers when they have their sons.
So it is okay for a woman to call the entire generation of men trash.
No.
There's a hashtag.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
saying,
about
so they say hashtag men are trash.
No.
If this no, but I'm just giving you this example. If this was a hashtag women are trash, trust me, it will be on CNN.
No.
Because women are not trash. That's the honest truth. So listen, the men are trash was a campaign that started in South Africa in regards to gender-based violence, and we all know the high rates of gender-based violence in South Africa. So this hashtag came up, and it took the whole spaces in the world of women and their activism, which is factual. I mean, the thing is, men don't like to be put in an uncomfortable situation. Men generally just wants to be pampered and being spoiled with sweet words. The moment you bring in the uncomfortable words,
it's a problem.
It looks like you're now trying to script them, like trying to just make them feel like they're worthless.
Okay,
but the amount and the rate of men making women uncomfortable
it's very high.
It's very high.
Okay.
And we need to start speaking in an unapologetic way of it, so they will understand it. We've been making things
by calling men ugly, by calling men trash.
No, like look at this tweet about calling men ugly. I don't think was something that was meant to ridiculize.
And come on, it's Twitter. Like it's so Twitter. Many people joke about practically everything.
How many times have men made fool of women on Twitter? You put up your photo and they zoom it in and make a silly comment about your makeup not looking nice.
They put VAR.
All of those
but that's
things.
done to men as well.
Well, not as much as it's done to women.
Yeah, because women put up more photos out there. So if a woman is moody, maybe she's even on her menstruation and feels men are ugly.
But it's best for
deal with it. Know that you're ugly. Basically, yeah.
She just called Gambian men ugly.
No, Gambian men. I keep saying more, like there are so many handsome Gambian men. I don't know. It's not news to me that they're handsome. Some of them
news to her, and she's a feminist.
I'm telling you, feminist now. So now feminists now like this.
But on a more serious note, I think feminists are different in all areas. You have the rebellious ones, you have the radicals, you have people are just like we are as individuals. We are all different in
our
ways
way.
on campaigns and how we advocate for certain issues. Some women think, they don't owe any man an apology for what they say, especially when it's the whole truth. Because our culture is used to sweet talking situations, which we are trying to get rid of now. Because especially when it comes to early marriage, FGM, and gender-based violence, we go into our homes and try to maslaha, try to negotiate, try to sweet talk, try to blame the woman. Now we want men to take responsibility for some of the things that they do wrong.
Okay.
And just that being said, doesn't mean that all men are bad, that all men are, in situations where we need to blame them. Certain men are definitely helping in the fight, and they've been very supportive and very protective.
Yeah.
Now, talking about those images of a father and a daughter being so nude or very close in their body touch, men can get sensitive in any situations. Why do you think men rape their daughters? They can't handle themselves in certain situations. So to avoid that, which tell fathers, no matter how much you love your daughter, that doesn't.
Restrictions.
There are limitations.
So you're trying to tell me now like this, Zoe, I cannot kiss Zoe now like this.
Well,
no, you can kiss Zoe, but is it Zodi?
Zoe.
It's Zoe.
Yeah.
But there's an age limit. The moment she starts to
No,
get
of course
too,
not. No, when she's small like this,
Of course.
But
It's a baby.
once they begin to run in the bathroom and hide themselves,
Of course.
and they're very cautious of what you see or some of the things that they can share with you. Then there's beginning to be there's already a boundary. But
especially during puberty.
But the question here is, I'm going to ask you, Isatou, could women be blamed for the outcome of what a man tends to become? Especially in a Gambian and an African context, where it's the woman that is the head of the family. It's the woman that calls the shot. Regardless, the father is the sperm donor, because that's what I call them. They're sperm donors. They really do not mold the children.
Yeah.
If a man is successful today, is because somehow his mom or his mother has played a big role into
their
it.
life. Yeah.
So would you say that if we are meant to change the narrative now as to, for example, gender-based violence and all of this, women have a greater part to play in terms of the upbringing of these little boys from the house?
Well, I will agree, and I will say women actually have a very, very big role to play, because we find ourselves in a society wherein most times when we are growing up, we're closer to our mothers than we are to our fathers.
True.
So the mother should be in a position to teach the male child what they should do right and what they feel is wrong. For example, when I was growing up with my brothers, we were raised, yes, but then my mom, it was just okay. It's still the chores are for the female and the hard work is for the male, and that is how we're living with my brothers now, until, because I talk to them all the time, they're trying to change a bit. My brother will wake up in the morning and will not wait for me to sweep, and he will sweep around the compound. So that is like changes are happening. But then the parents, especially the mom, has a very, very huge role to play at that tender age. That's when you teach your child what they should do rightly. And when it comes to the chores, when it comes to doing hard work, when it comes to going up and down, when it comes to just anything, you don't have to segregate both gender. You have to make them understand that this is it, and each of you can do whatever you can to support. So it's not a woman's role to sweep, and it's not a man's role to drive a truck just because he is a man. So that's I'll blame the parents. I hope now that we are talking to the young girls, that will change, and also the men, I will blame them too. I feel as if we are not raised in homes where we have our fathers looking after us. They're all about going out there, getting the money, coming back home, making sure that we eat, and that's it. But parenthood goes way beyond that. Our fathers should also play a role in our lives. Even us as women, tell us what we should expect when we start having boyfriends, for example. Tell us how what we should expect when we start seeing men that wants to get married to us. Tell us how we should protect ourselves from men. The tips, we need them, but we don't have those conversations with our fathers, and it's a problem. I started getting close to my dad the later years, because he lived abroad his whole life, and when I was born, I was very little when he traveled. So when he got back, I was already older, and I am always close to my mom. When he came, he wanted me to be close to him, but it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
So he spoke to my mom and he was like, why is it that everything you need, you call Isatou, and like she's not close to me? And my mom is like, it takes time. You have not been here her whole life, so it takes time for her to be close. And now that is changing and we are closer. So I feel the parents, especially the dad, also have a huge role to play.
All right. Yeah, and our culture also, I think, plays a very significant role in that. Like, we have this culture and that, you know, men are supposed to be superior all the time, that we're supposed to listen and obey to men. And this gives them a certain type of power to think it's okay to talk to women anyhow, to treat them anyhow.
Yeah.
But we are glad the narratives are changing now. There are more education and awareness going on. And it's beautiful just seeing the younger generation now holding hands of women and trying to give them that comfort and love, you know, in situations that it is needed in, and not trying to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
So if it continues like that, I mean, there's going to be a lot of positive change, especially with the next generation. You know, we're going to be mothers, and our children definitely will raise them differently and will talk to them differently. So there's going to be a lot of changes in the future, inshallah. Yeah.
That should be fun. We cannot wait for the change to come.
Well, it's actually happening already.
It
There
is.
are a few changes, so we hope it continues.
It certainly will continue. But how can anyone get to join the organization? I mean, Girls Talk, the TV show. How can people get in contact with you in case they equally want to be part of the many programs that you have or activities that you have upcoming as well? I know you have a handful into you have your hands full at the moment, but equally you're partnering with so many other organizations that are equally fighting for the rights of girls and the girls and women in the Gambia. But how can anyone get a hold of you and the organization?
For the organization, we actually have a team. That is, I have a team of volunteers that volunteer whenever we have programs, and also to run the activities of the organization. The reason why I've not actually opened it out there to have more people involved as volunteers is because it's still a growing organization, and we still need to stand on our feet, have our office space and things like that before we can have a whole lot of people in the team. So now we're just small. We're about 10 people that are running the activities. So when we have other programs like the Girls Workout Day and the others which are open to the public, then we're open to having people to join our activities and take part. But as for volunteers, it's restricted to just those that are within the executive level, to see how best we drag until we stand on our feet to allow other people to join in.
On social media, you have sites, you have pages, you have accounts on Facebook. Which one is it?
It's all Girls Talk Show /org, Facebook Girls Talk Show /org, on Instagram Girls Talk Show 61, and on Twitter Girls Talk Show. And you find us any Girls Talk Show, you get us on all the social media handles.
Nice.
If women were involved in, if women were at the head of some of the organizations or structures in Gambia, do you think our country will be better? For example, if we had a female president,
it will be way better. I had an argument with one Yali cohort member actually a few days ago. He was like, oh, you're President Barrow, do you think you guys are ready for female presidents? And I was like, oh yes, we have a whole lot of, like, so many young women who have potential to run this country. But again, the society have made these women feel as if, okay, their role is only for them to clap and run behind rallies, and also to cook the food for them to eat when it's time for political elections and the things like that. But it goes beyond that, and we have women with potential who can actually run this country. And I'm sure that if we have these women in these positions, Gambia will be a whole new Gambia as we want it.
that'd be amazing, though.
Of course,
That certainly would amazing. I mean, like I said, if women ruled the world, it'd just be a bunch of countries not talking to each other, but we'll be cool. just be keeping malice, but everyone will be smelling nice. Everyone will be fed. Everyone will have something to do. But everyone, there will be so much love, because
exactly.
regardless of how much grievance women have against each other, there's always a level of love.
Of course.
There's always going to be love here and there.
We give tough love.
I like that. If you're meant to give a shout out today, who would you give a shout out to?
My mother.
I knew she was going to do that. I
Yes.
knew you were going to
But
go
it's
there.
the truth.
You are going there.
I keep saying it. I just don't say it randomly because everybody says my mother. But to be honest, my mom has played a really huge role in what I am today. Without my mom, I would have given up a whole long time ago. I go out in the morning, come back at night, and I'm exhausted. My mom will boil a cup of coffee and come to my room and give it to me.
Her mother.
That is for her to tell me.
Yes.
I'm telling you, some people have girlfriends. For the girlfriend to bring water for them, they are complete.
Seriously, she'll
Her mama is the one bringing coffee.
she'll tell me because she knows I am tired.
Where do you
Love.
live so we can come over for weekend?
It's love.
Yeah.
She, It's her way of telling me, don't give up, keep going. I know you're exhausted, but you know, cool down, take this cup of coffee and just lie down and sleep, and tomorrow will be a whole new day. And that's what she does for me, and I love her for that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. I mean, we're all thankful and grateful for our mothers.
Yes.
They've always been very supportive. I mean, it can be very challenging. You need to have a thick skin to survive in this country as
Yeah.
an activist, as an actress, or everything that you're doing right
Journalist as well.
now. Yes. So you're also on the production side. You work with a State of Mind part-time,
Yes.
right? We're almost about to end the show.
And I started vlogging.
But yeah, we
Yeah.
saw that. You started blogging about Gambia, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that, and how can people follow your blog?
It's just Isatou Bokum's vlogs on YouTube, and basically it started when Budemaya came here. He's a Ghanaian vlogger, and I took him to 1 or 2 places, and he was like, Isatou, you have a YouTube channel and you're not vlogging. And reasons being, he said he wanted to meet Gambian vloggers, but he couldn't get any. Most of them are based abroad and things like that. And I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. And he pushed me, and I was like, and I'm glad he did, and I'm enjoying it.
So what do you blog about? Just because I've seen one about food.
Yes,
So
I
you're a
do
vlogger,
food.
you're vlogging food and what else?
Places and
Nice.
talk about recently they asked about the Gambia, a brief one about the Gambia, and I
Right.
gave them about 1 minute or 8 minutes, 2 of the videos, and I did that. And they also asked for me to tell them about myself, and I did. And I also go to places around, famous places, Chop Shop,
Yeah.
Ataya Cafe, and show them places they could visit when they visit the Gambia. So I hope to go up country soon also to
That'd be
do
nice.
some videos.
That's gonna be nice. That's gonna be nice. But I mean, we wish, for some of us, we wish we could do that, but the time, I don't know how I'll
I
be
know,
sitting here
it's
and I'll be in
doing-
Chop Shop or I'll be in Caraba
Well,
Beach
you just
Hotel.
find time for it's really hard because I also don't have time. But then the little space that you have, you just
No, Mama, you have
know,
little
push it in.
space. You have little space. Now I am somebody's father.
No, a whole lot of things.
But we want to say thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We hope that we did not bore you.
No, of course not. It's fun being here. Trust me, I've had an exciting 1 hour.
We're glad you did. But thank
That's
you
nice.
so much for being here, sharing your story with us, and the amazing works that you do. Keep it up. Very proud of you, and the sky is definitely not the limit. Let's go penetrate that sky and just keep winning and keep your head up. We wish you great success
Thank
in your
you.
upcoming activities. And Gambia, check out for Isatou Bokum.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm on someone like you love me. Love. Yeah. I got it on my phone.